Good morning. Australian police say they've been contacted by British officers about speaking to the two DJs who made a hoax call to the hospital treating the Duchess of Cambridge. Jacinta Saldana was found dead on Friday, days after she'd taken the call from the presenters at Today FM and put it through to the ward, thinking the Queen was on the line. The chairman of the King Edward VII Hospital in London has written to the Sydney station strongly condemning their actions. The Australian Communications and Media Authority's code states that stations shouldn't broadcast recorded calls without the prior consent of the person speaking on them, a rule which also applies here. Well, Martin Campbell is a former Chief Adviser at Ofcom and now chairs the Broadcast Journalism Training Council. He told me the incident could have implications for the media in the UK.
Some very unworthy and scurrilous things are happening when it comes to mainstream media reporting what's on the internet without taking any responsibility for it. And radio websites, television websites, newspaper websites, they all had links to this, or many of them had links to this in full. And so, how do they actually justify that? Yeah, of course, they've taken them all down now. But it's not only that as well. The way that this was reported by the newspapers worries me because, and this is why I think the UK media have questions to answer over this. If you read a lot of the tabloids, the coverage of this story, they say things like, personal information was given out, confidential information was given out, which of course the hospital have always denied. They've said that everything that was told to these hoaxers was actually already in the public domain. But in order to make the story look bigger and nastier, which is what tabloids tend to do, they have written time after time that confidential information was given out as a result of this. And that clearly, to me, appears not to be true. Now, that's the press here. That's not the press in Australia. So, of course, the upshot of that is that the people who were the victims of this hoax call not only felt duped and a bit silly, which is the purpose of the call, but because of the coverage of the press over here, that they obviously felt, oh my God, then, confidential information has gone out and making it 10 times worse.
Is this going to change things over here? I mean, you were at Ofcom for quite a while. Can you see if a complaint is lodged with Ofcom by, say, the hospital or indeed the royal family or the family of the nurse who died, that there could be an investigation and there could be perhaps ramifications for broadcasters, for the media more widely perhaps, because of what's happened these last 48 hours?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question, and I think that there is a possibility that the answer is yes, because this is happening time after time, that the mainstream media is, and this is why I thought Leveson should actually have had a far wider brief than just newspapers, because newspapers and the digital marketplace and broadcasting and blogs and social websites are all now linked intrinsically. And very often, mainstream media is reporting internet stuff and sort of hiding behind the cloak, well, it's not us saying it, it's somebody else. And this actually isn't good enough. And I think this is actually a very good example because, yes, you're right. A lot of mainstream media websites had this up without permission, clearly, because no permission was ever given for it. And, it's just reporting what other people are reporting without taking responsibility for it just isn't on. So it may be that this will turn into something of a test case.
That's Martin Campbell, a former Chief Adviser at Ofcom and now the Chairman of the Broadcast Journalism Training Council.